Hi, yo. Oh, Lord. This is Jabria from Jabria Jabbers, and I'm going to be reviewing two books today. This is going to drive me crazy if it's straight or not. The first book will be The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Burp, 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 burp. Look like this. I already turned it into the library, so I don't have the physical one. And the second book we're going to be reviewing today is Pride and Premeditation. It's by Tirzah Price. The name Price keeps coming up. Like, let me know in the comments, what does that name mean? Like, besides like money, obviously. Like, what does the last name Price mean? Because it keeps coming up. Disappearance of Rachel Price. And then I was reading Plucking Around, and the main character in there was named Rachel Price. And I'm like, what is up with this name? But anyways, okay, so The Inheritance Games. This is also going to be spoiler free. Because someone I love was like, can you make more spoiler free ones? So here we are, spoiler free. So basically this book is about this girl. I think she's like 16 or something, 16, 17, 18, something like that. She's in high school, and she's poor, you know, that old story line. She's poor, and basically she's living, I think her mom died. She doesn't talk to her dad, so she's living with her older half-sister and her abusive boyfriend, and she is a genius. She's very good at school, and specifically in the area of like science and math and stuff, like statistics and stuff. That's her deal. And she has one best friend who I forgot the name. I think Max is her best friend's name, Maxine. But they don't show her the whole book. Like, we never see Maxine the whole book. But anyway, so la da 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 da. That's life. She's poor, she's smart, she's good at school. And one day she's at school and this guy's there and he's like, look, you need to come with us because for some reason you're mentioned in my granddad's will, and my granddad was rich. He was, I think, the richest man in Texas, if not the country, but for sure Texas. He's super rich and he left you in his will, and you have to be there for the reading of the will, otherwise we won't be able to read the will. So basically, as you can guess, she ends up inheriting like the old man's fortune, and the only like stipulation to this deal is that she has to live in his house in Texas for a full year, otherwise she will forfeit the money. So let's talk about the characters. So the main character, the girl that's like 16 or whatever, or 17 or 18, her name is Avery Kyle Grams. Sorry, boob scratch. Her sister, that's older than her, is Libby Grams, but not by much. The oldest grandson of the guy that died is Nash Hawthorne. He has a bit of a savior complex, and he has like the most Texas accent of them, all of the four grandsons. The second oldest is Grayson Hawthorne. He's super businesslike. He's the one that comes to the school to tell her that she is in the will, and he's cute. The third oldest is Jameson Hawthorne. He is the thrill seeker, and he is the one that I guess Avery is like the most romantically interested in, earliest in the book. And then the baby is Xander Hawthorne, and he is a genius. Like, he's like Pulitzer Prize genius, like his genius is more in the area of like engineering. He's very much inventor vibes genius. And he is half black. He's the only one that is half black. And then there's Emily Lawlin. I think that's how you pronounce her name, Emily Lawlin. And Emily Lawlin is the mystery girl who died. Like, that's like the air that you need to know about, like the mystery girl who died, without giving any spoilers. So this book was like nominated in Texas as like the book to read, for young adults. Like, it was nominated as that book, which was a sign right there. And also, it's like pretty popular. Like, there are 3 total books in the series right now, but I'm pretty sure it's like continuing or something like that. Like if there's more things to come. Some things I liked about the book. I liked the twist at the very end of the book. I like the twist at the very end of the book. What else did I like about the book? I like the super wealthy aspect of the book. I think I like anything with a lot of wealth. But yeah, I think that's about it. If I think of anything else that I liked about the book as I talk about what I didn't like about the book, I will let you know. That's fun. See, even the sky agrees. The dislike part. I didn't like the writing. It was a chore to read this book. Like I could feel myself reading it. It was not easy at all for me to like get lost in the book. I didn't like how it was very like we've seen this before, we've done this before, but like it's okay to like do that archetype or that trend or whatever as long as it's done well. And I feel like I said with the writing, it wasn't done well. I feel like the writing wasn't descriptive enough in terms of the characters. Like it described how they looked and obviously described what they did and how they talked, but I feel like the characters weren't grounded enough for me, and maybe they will be like in other books, but in this one I would have preferred more life and more fun interactions and lighthearted interactions with the grandsons, with the brothers. I feel like everything was too serious all the time. Like there was never a point, or there was like 1 or 2 times in the book when Avery, the main character, actually enjoyed herself with the brothers. It was always like, I don't trust them, I don't trust them, I don't trust them, I don't trust them. And I'm just like, I feel like that's also not realistic. And it's like, if you want to go for a book like that, go for it. Like Hunger Games wise, like go for that. Like go for like, I don't trust nobody, all of us can die, you know, like go for that kind of environment. But I feel like it felt a bit exaggerated because like you're literally just in Texas and you're just super rich. Like there's no need for this like hostile, like get it out the mud type of mentality, because obviously I guess for like, I don't know, white people or whatever, like she was getting it out the mud. Like that was such a hard life, like living with her sister and like having her own car and having a job and having a nice school. Like I guess that was her getting it out the mud, but it just seems like too like angsty. Like for me, it needed to be more light. And then the mystery aspect, I didn't like that it didn't reveal the big answer or the big mystery until the end. And this is something that I talked about before in a previous book review that I did. I believe it was for Rachel Price, where like they give you little wins. They give you little wins throughout the mystery. There weren't little wins in this mystery. It was like, oh, you thought it was just like a lot of little pieces put together. So it's like you have a lot of random information, and then you have all these brothers with random like characteristics and random character traits, and it just doesn't feel grounded. They don't feel like real people. To me, they felt like case files rather than real people. And I would say the same thing with Avery. Like even though they described how she looked and described her outfit, the commentary of her own personal like stream of consciousness was very uninteresting. It was just very bland. It didn't make you root for this character. I felt like I wouldn't care if she died or not. Like she could literally slip and fall off a cliff and I'd be like, oh, I guess that happened to Avery. Like the writing doesn't make you like her. It doesn't make you want to fight for her. It doesn't make you interested in her life, in her survival, in her thriving, in her inheriting all this money, which is super interesting. And I also don't like that, like I said, it's just overdone. If you're gonna do it, like do it well. Like she's very much the kind of girl that doesn't pretend she doesn't like girly things and pretend she's not like those girls. But then it's like, that's it. There's no more there's no more characterization beyond that. And one of the things I want to say about this is I've read a better book with this same idea than this, and it's a truly devious series by Maureen Johnson, and she's so much fun. Should I close this? The Truly Devious season. The Truly Devious series by Maureen Johnson is what I'm talking about. That series. The Truly Devious series by Maureen Johnson is a murder mystery series, and it's about a young girl who's very smart, and her area of expertise is solving mysteries, and she gets sent to this big royal, very exclusive school that has like a lot of money and wealth, and it's done well. She is also one of those girls that's like not your typical girly girl, but she has like characterizations. Like she is very, very much obsessed with her work to the point where she barely pays attention to like romance, but then when it hits her, like it hits her in this very like out of the blue kind of way, uncontrollable kind of way. And the characters were more diverse. There were more than one half black person, even though, you know, half black people are, you know, black people. But, you know, there was more than just one black person. There was more than just one person of color. And it just was done well. Like that main character in the Truly Devious series, her name is Stevie. And you're worried about her. You want her to be safe. Her stream of consciousness, it makes sense. It's very anxious. It's very individualized and personalized. And Avery Grams, I can't even remember her name. Avery Grams. It's just like, okay. And then I also get annoyed when like there's like the thoughts of the characters of like, oh, someone gave me all this money, I don't want it. Like, I don't know. She didn't do that a lot, but I just don't like how uninterested she was in the money, because I feel like that's also unrealistic. Like, why is it a bad thing for girls, for women to be uninterested, like to be interested in money and to want to buy things for themselves, to want to buy clothes if they want to buy clothes, to want to buy a new house if they want to buy a house? Like, why is it like this is what makes her interesting, is like that she's not one of those girls who's like doesn't need money to live, or like is uninterested in like getting her hair done. I just didn't like that. And like I said, if you're gonna do that, it's fine, but like do it in a way that is unique and different. Go read the Truly Devious series, or season, since I keep calling it season. Yeah, go read the Truly Devious season by Maureen Johnson. So yeah, and then also like I said about the mystery, I've seen better mysteries than this, and it felt very like overwhelming. They should have included a map of the inside of the house, because it was a huge house and it had all these secret hidden passages and shit. And I'm like, you're not a good enough writer for the writing alone to be not confusing in book one, in one book. You needed to make a map. You needed to make a map to put at the beginning of the book of the inside of the house and how it looked. There were a lot of moments where I felt like it could have been like super good, like the whole mystery around the mother and who did what, and I just felt like it was just very generic. And I also wanted, like, even with other characters, like the four grandsons, like their mother and their aunts, like maybe the author like does this in the other books, and maybe I'm like judging too harshly for the first book, but I'm like, if you want readers to read beyond the first book supposed to be the best fucking book, you know? Don't excuse my French, because the first book's supposed to be the best one. And I just felt like you can't have like I said, it's okay to have like tropes and like archetypal characters, but don't make all of them like that. I felt like all of them were like that. And at the same time, I felt like the brothers weren't like distinct enough. It also like bothered me how like they didn't feel like brothers. And I know there was like reasoning for that, but I felt like if you grow up together and you literally live in the same house, regardless of like the intention of whoever is raising you, the environment still forces you to have like certain similarities. Like you all like laugh in the same kind of way, or you think the same jokes are funny. And I feel like that just wasn't there. There was like 1 or 2 scenes of them like bonding or them being like brotherly. I'm like, that's not realistic. I just feel like it just wasn't realistic. And I feel like also there was so much, like there's so much potential in the school that she went to, because she went to obviously like not only a private school, but a private school for like elites and like celebrity kids. And I would have much rather that had been like the focus of the book. I feel like that would have been so cool. Like, what's it like to go to this school with these different players, these different celebrity, you know, children, household names. Like, that would have been a T. And then like something going on in the background at the house that like slowly is building up. Kind of like how they do like The Wall and Solar Opposites. How like Solar Opposites has all these things going on, and in the background, the plot of The Wall is like there in the background, and then that would have been like fire. That would have been fire. I feel like it was like wasted with the school. I feel like they didn't give good enough descriptions for how the school looked or how the classes worked. Like most of the time she was out of school, and I'm just like, what? Like, is you is or is you ain't? Like it was just like that. So enough of me rambling on. My rating of this book is 2 out of 5, and I give it the 2, as I said, because of the twist at the end that I liked, and because I feel like young adult readers, like people who are 14, would enjoy this book, versus like seasoned readers like myself, who read a lot and have read better. It wouldn't be that good. But I feel like for a certain group of people, 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds who are just like starting to read professionally, this is like a okay starter book. Okay, so now let's move on to Pride and Premeditation. Obviously this sounds familiar. It's Jane Austen fanfic almost of Pride and Prejudice. I want to read the beginning quotes that she has in here. There's one from Jane Austen and then one from Agatha Christie. This is like a combination of both. It's like Jane Austen and then the love and like, you know, the marriage and shit. And then like Agatha Christie is like the murder mystery. It's like a combination of both. So the Jane Austen quote is, "There is a stubbornness about me that never can bear to be frightened at the will of others. My courage always rises at every attempt to intimidate me." And then Agatha's, "Instinct is a marvelous thing. It can neither be explained nor ignored." So let's get into some things I liked about this book. I liked that it was like based in like the olden times or whatever, like with the marriage proposals, and someone's calling on you, and the calling means to actually go to someone's house. And I like that, and I like that it wasn't like too much of that. Like there's definitely like rules broken in this book. It actually kind of reminded me of those books like The Gentleman, How to Be a Gentleman. One sec. Reminds me of those books, A Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee. I actually really like those books. Like, spoilers for ahead, I like those books better than this one. A Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue, where it's like the olden days, but like with little modern moments and modern elements to it. There's a literary term for that I always forget. So if you know it, let me know in the comments. But yeah, I like that about this one. I love Jane Austen, and I love how she kept the same character names. I love the name Elizabeth Bennet because my last name is Bennett, so I like that. I thought that was cute. And then this character, she goes by Lizzie. I loved how it was like the same characters, but like they felt original still, and I like that. I feel like that's a very difficult thing to do, to take like well-known, well-worn characters but still make them feel alive. And unlike the other book, Inheritance Games, I actually cared about Lizzie. Like I actually cared about like whether or not she got her promotion or whether or not she died. So some, I guess, setting or premise of the story is basically Lizzie works unofficially, very unofficially, at her father's law firm. At her father's law firm, there's this guy, I think his name is Colton or something. He's like he's gonna be inheriting like their family stuff, like the Bennett's family stuff. And then there's the assistant, I think her name is Charlotte, and that's like the best friend of Lizzie. And then at home, you know, she has all her sisters and her mother. And then of course there's Darcy, and he works for his father's law firm. And then there's the golden retriever guy, whose name I've forgotten, but it's not really important. So basically that's it. So in order to like get officially hired by her father's law firm, he tells her to show him logically her worth. Like, show me that you can logically fulfill this role. And so she takes it upon herself to solve this murder that's been committed in this family of a friend of Darcy's. So yeah, no spoilers here either, in case it wasn't clear. What else did I like about this? I like that people actually died. I don't like when they hold back a lot on the death and like, oh, one person died and like that's the show. Like, no, more than one person died in here, and I like that. I like that it wasn't like soft, you know, like people actually get injured, people actually get like shot, like it's actual like death and pain in here, but it's also still super lighthearted, but it also takes the death seriously. So I like that about this book. I liked Lizzie. I like that she like was like a girl's girl a little bit. Like she was a girl's girl, like supported women and like didn't mind a nice dress, but it also wasn't like everything to her. I like how she wasn't one of those girls like, I don't care about how I look. Like she cares about how she looks, but like she also like cares more about her work than how she looks. Okay. And I like how you can tell at the end of the story that it's like not the end, like that there's more to this and that there's more coming from this. I like that. It left you wanting more. Some things I didn't like about this book is that it was kind of like like it was good, like I said, all the things that I just mentioned are like great, but it's like there was nothing that made me like want to jump out of my seat and be like, what? Like I can't believe that happened. Like what? Like him? Like oh my god? Or like oh, like there was none of that. And it could just be because this is a young adult book, but Truly Devious, pretty sure is a young adult book, and it's better than this one. And I don't think Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue is young adult, but I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it teeters. Let me see. It is. Yes, A Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee is a young adult book, and there were moments where I was like, oh, what? Oh my god, like, and it also like made you like super excited about like them like the romance like sizzling, like it was like a sizzling, and I feel like this wasn't that much sizzling between the two characters. I guess this is like a light spoiler, but I'm like, how much can you spoil a book where it's Pride and Prejudice? Like, everybody read Pride and Prejudice. Like, you know, like, how the characters end up. But it's like, between, like, Lizzie and Darcy, like, it was sizzle. Like, it was, like, heat. It was beef, you know? It was up. And then it, like, wasn't. Like, it wasn't up no more. And I was, like, I didn't get enough of the enemies to lovers. Like, I didn't get enough of the enemies part. Like, there wasn't enough, like, banter that made you, like, be like, oh, like, it wasn't that. Like, it wasn't, like, a pop of the mouth. Like, there could have been so much more, even though it's YA. Because, like I said, other YA authors have done it. Truly Devious, Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue. Like, those books, they feel more alive. Like, with Mackenzie Lee's book, I felt like I was there. I felt like I was on like the run, like on those pirate ships and shit. This one, I didn't feel like I was there. Like I felt like I was reading, even though this one definitely like put me more in the story than the Inheritance games did, it could have been better. It could have been better. I feel like the thing that was like holding this writer back is that they were trying to be respectful to the story of Pride and Prejudice, but also make sure to like stay in alignment with the murder mystery Agatha Christie aspect. And so by trying to like stay in those lanes like so precisely, because it's a delicate balance before you like get into copyright issues, and so you have to like stay in these two lanes, because it's not one lane, it's two lanes, and you have to stay in that. It wasn't allowed to get like more spicy or to veer off. I wanted a little bit of veering off, and there was also like parts in there. I only caught like one or two really, because I'm not like, I didn't read Pride and Prejudice, I only watched the movie, but I caught like some of the iconic lines, and I wish like the writer would have like veered even more off of those lines, because she did, like the writer, she veered, like she put her own twist on those lines, but I'm like, girl, like you made it hit less different. Like it's supposed to hit different, but it ain't supposed to hit like less. Like I felt it less than I did in the movie. Like in the movie, when they were talking about like what she should call, or what Darcy could call Elizabeth, that shit hit in my chest. Like it hit. And in the book, when they like did it in their own way, it felt like a child. Like it felt very childish. And I'm like, these are adults. Like these ain't no kids. These are adults. They work for law firms. These are adults. They're talking about getting married and stuff. Like these are real adult, mature people. And I felt like there could have been more gusto to it without getting into the adult book criteria, because we've seen, like I said, other artists, other authors do that. Anything else I didn't like about it? I like the feminist aspects of it. I think that's it. I think that's the only thing I didn't like about it. So for this book, for the rating, out of 5 being the best, I would give it about a 2.8. We're gonna stand on that, a 2.8, because I feel like I don't want to give it a 3 out of 5, because I don't want people to be like, ooh, like let me go read this. I would not recommend people reading this. I feel like it'd be a waste of time. Like if you want to read like a classical book like that, go read Jane Austen. If you want to read a classical Agatha Christie, go read a classical Agatha Christie. But if you want to read a book that's like modern classic, go read A Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue. Like there's other books that I would recommend. But at the same time, like this book isn't entirely shitty. So it's not like a 1 or a 0. Like I said, there's things in there that I like about it. So yeah, if you would like to support me, if you enjoyed watching this, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. Even if it's just a heart, like leave a comment and I'm gonna like send a heart back. It's gonna be cute, but do that. All right, bye, see you later.